Alright, so I'm doing a video on the RS5 electronic wing retrofit. What I'm gonna show you here is how to add the electronic wing from an Audi RS5 onto an A5 or S5. What we have here is my 2013 Audi S5. So this is the B8.5 chassis coupe. And as you can see, it already has the wing installed and functional. Alright, so what parts will you need to do this on your car? So what you need obviously is the electronic wings assembly. You'll need the whole unit, and because the wing is built into the trunk lid, you will need the whole trunk lid from the RS5 as well. So you'll need essentially the whole trunk assembly. And then aside from that, you'll need a few other things. So I have them right here. So what you'll need is a mounting bracket. This mounting bracket mounts in the trunk, and that's where the module goes. So here's also the module, and this is what controls the wing from going up and down. You'll also need the cover bracket. This is the bracket that covers the module. So the module glues onto this and then goes in here. Next thing you'll need is the trunk springs. The trunk from the RS5 is way heavier, so the stock A5 or S5 springs will not be able to hold it up, and the trunk will drop way quicker than you want it. So you will need the RS5 springs to be able to hold up the extra weight. Obviously you'll need the switch. You'll also need these bumpers. The reason why you need them is because the stock A5 and S5 bumpers are a little bit bigger, and so what will happen is the trunk will stick up and you won't be able to get it down without replacing these. So these are the bumpers that go right next to the trunk, and this is where they are right here, and then one on the other side. Next thing you'll need two nuts. These are the nuts that hold the brackets down. You'll need a 10 amp fuse. This is your standard, I believe the type of fuse is ATC. So just a regular car 10 amp fuse. You'll also need the wiring to wire the whole thing. Now this is the hardest part of the whole thing. You can't actually get the wiring from Audi, and you can't buy it anywhere else. So this is actually a wiring that I'm custom made, and if you look in the link, you'll be able to find a link to where you can buy this if you want to. But obviously without it you won't be able to do anything. So and so the final thing you'll need is seat clips. When you go to install the wiring, you will have to remove your back seat, and this is the clip that holds that seat down. When you pull the seat out, this clip will break every single time. When I did it on mine, both of them broke, and so this is something that you will need. Okay, so here's the wiring. I got it all laid out on the floor. So on this side, you've got a bunch of connectors on this end, and then you've got a long wire running to the other side, and on this side you have two connectors. So this side is where you will plug into your switch. So this goes into the switch. This will plug into the parking brake on the other side, and then the long wire runs throughout the car, and then this side is in the trunk. So you've got the connector that plugs into the module, then this goes into your central convenience module. You got your ground, your power, and then this other semi-long cable right here goes to the motor in the trunk lid. So that's the actual wing on the trunk. Alright, so we're inside the car and we're going to get started on wiring the harness for the wing. We're going to start with the side with the brown connector and the double black connector. So as I mentioned before, the brown connector connects to your switch, and then the double black connector connects to your e-brake. So we're going to start first by removing the boot around the shifter. All you do is pull up, you grab the boot itself, and then just pull up on it. As you can see, once you pull up on it, it'll unclip by itself. It has two clips here on the side, on both sides, and that's all that's holding it down. So you pull up on it, and the next thing we'll have to remove is the climate control, because we'll have to remove the whole Mmi control, this piece right here. And in order to do that, you have to get the climate controls out of the way. So what I'll be using is just a pick. This is a bigger one, and I also have a smaller one, depending on what you need. But the way to remove this is there's two holes underneath that you can't see. They're right here. There's one right here, and then there's one right here. So you will want to insert a pick right here and one right here, and then you pull out on the climate control, and all it has is two clips on each side, and that's how it's being held. I already removed the climate control. So right in the back here you have two connectors. So what you'll have to do is you have to pull up on this red one right here. Pull up on it, and now you can remove the connector. And then this other black one, which I have actually aftermarket items installed in this car, so your connector will look a little different. It's actually right here. It'll be the same thing. Red tab, you pull the red tab out and then remove the connector. Alright, so I got the climate control removed. Next thing we'll have to do is remove this center, the Mmi controls. So that's very easy. All you do is you put your hand in here, and then you just give it a small yank, and that's it, and then it comes out. Now don't pull on it too hard. You still have connectors to your e-brake, stop, controls, and your switch, which obviously you don't have yet. But you don't want to pull on it too hard because they're pretty short, and this is about as far as they go. So the next thing you want to do is you want to disconnect all the connectors that are connected to all your switches. They're all right here. I'm not going to show how to remove them. They're all very similar. They're pretty much this type of connectors where you have a tab that you have to press on, and once you press it, you pull the plug out. Alright, once you have the Mmi controls, your center console removed, you have to install the switch. So normally what you have here is just a plastic piece, which is a coin holder. Yes, it is a coin holder. It's not a vent. So in order to remove that, on the back you have three clips. So one underneath this label, as you can see right there, there's one here, and then there's another one in the front. So you'll have to pull all three of those out at the same time, and then just push through, and then it will come out from this side. It will come up, and then once you're ready, all you do is you take your switch, pop it in there, and then just press down on it, and that should just clip in, and that's it. Alright, so I've got the MMI center console removed. So what we have here is you've got your e-brake, your start button, and your MMI controls plugs. So what we'll need to do is you take the wiring. First thing is you have this clip right here, and that clip goes in right here into this hole. I'm not sure if you can see that right here. It just clips into it, so it goes just like this, and then this connects now to your switch. But the next thing you'll have to also do is you have to connect this side to your e-brake. So the way you do that is this is what connected originally to your e-brake. What you're going to do is you're going to take this, and now this is going to connect into your e-brake, and you're going to connect the other female side to your original plug, just like this. Okay, so now when you go to put this together, you're going to plug this side into your e-brake. Now this part is pretty straightforward. The hardest part is going to be the center console. You'll have to route these wires pretty much underneath here, underneath the center console, underneath the carpet, and right in front of this seat. I'm not going to show how to remove the center console because it's pretty involved. However, I'll give you a little bit of pointers. The thing that you'll have to do is you'll have to remove this. This is the ashtray. You have two screws right here. I believe those are 8mm. You're going to then, once you remove those two, this kind of slides out. It has clips in the back, so it just slides out. Now, there's a connector there that you can disconnect. There's also screws inside of here. It's really up to you how you run this wire. I actually opted to remove the whole center console so I can easily route it underneath the carpet and everything. I know there's some guides out there that say you have to remove literally everything in the car, like the seats, the carpeting, the side panels, the back seats, and I found that completely ridiculous. I did not have the need to do that at all. I'm not sure why they say to do that, but you don't really have to do that. The only thing that I did was I removed the center console. This whole thing, I removed it from the car so that I can run it underneath. If you really get crafty and you don't really want to do that, I guess you could fish it underneath. You'll have to go underneath here and then fish it under the whole thing into the bag, and then you'll be able to route it under the carpet. But if you don't want to do that, it could get difficult. If you don't want to do that, then you're going to have to remove the center console. So in order to do that, like I said, you'll have to remove the ashtray, and then you have screws here, here, and there's additional screws underneath the ashtray on each side. You'll also have to remove, actually no you don't. I think that's it for this side. In the back, let me get in the back and I'll show you what you have to do back there. Alright, so once you're in the back, as I said, there are a couple of screws up front that you'll have to remove. And then also there are screws inside of here. So what you have to do is you remove the vent right here. Once you remove that, there are screws inside of there. And there's also screws on the bottom inside the back here that you have to remove. And once you do that, you'll be able to remove the whole center console. So essentially, as I said, I already showed you the wiring is up front, it goes underneath here, and you route it. There's a whole harness here that runs underneath the console, and you just want to route it along there somewhere. I guess if you really wanted to, you don't really need to remove the console. You could kind of try to fish it underneath here and then just tuck it in underneath. That's really up to you. But you're gonna run this wire all the way back to the trunk. That's where it needs to go. So we're gonna run it back here, and then under the carpet. Then in front of the seat, there's a whole wire harness terminal. You have a huge bundle right there. So I'm gonna remove the seat and show you where that is. Now, in order to remove the seat, what you have to do is first you have these child restraint seat clips that you have to remove. So these clips just pull up on them and they pretty much pop off. And you have 4 of them, so you have one right here, there, and there. You have to remove all 4 of them. So as I said, you remove the top one, and then this one also has to be removed. And the way that works is you put your finger right here, press down on it, and then once you press on it, pull it out. So you press down and then out, and this comes out. So that's that right there. So you'll have to do all 4. And then once you remove all those clips, there is a clip right here, and there's a clip right underneath me. Those 2 clips hold the seat down. So what you have to do is put your hand underneath and just give it a good yank right about here, and then right about here. Pull up on it, and once you see the seat release, you just pull the seat out towards the front, and it should come out. So I just got the seat removed. This is what it looks like. So as I mentioned before, the wiring right here has to go underneath the console and then under this carpeting. So what you have to do is, I actually had to remove this piece right here, and which is together with this. I had to remove that so that I can really pull on this carpet. And when you do that, so I'll give it a little bit of a yank. Here it is. Here's this. It's a whole terminal of wiring, a bunch of wiring harnesses inside of there. So your goal is to run that wiring underneath the center console and then go into this wiring terminal. So when you get underneath here, you can see there's a top cover on top of it, and that's just on clips. I can't really get to it right now. Well, either way, you'll be able to figure it out. But it unclips, and then it's on hinges, and it opens, and then you'll be able to route your cabling inside of there. And then you want to go towards the right side of the car. So once you're back here, you want to run it this side. So run it towards here, and as you can see, it goes all the way here. And then you can continue running the wiring underneath this side panel, and then towards the back, and then you're gonna want to go up the panel towards the trunk. So I didn't remove this side panel. You could if you really wanted to, but I found that it's a lot of work, and you have to take a lot of pieces. These bottom pieces, you have to take these side pieces off, possibly the seat, and I just didn't want to be doing that. So I simply ran the cables right here underneath, and then I exited right underneath here, and then just ran it under, tucked it under the panel, and just kept doing that until I got all the way up, so that I didn't have to take this whole panel down, and it pretty much worked for me. So if you want to do that, you can do that as well. Alright, so now we're in the trunk, and in order to continue the wiring, we'll have to remove some of the covers in the trunk. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, and I already removed some of these to speed up the process recording here, but One of the things that you'll have is this cover. The cover goes on the trunk hinges right here and here. So all that is you've got 4 clips on the back. You unclip those and then the cover just slides off. So you want to do that for both sides. Next, you'll want to remove this cover right here, which is this piece. This is held on by 4 clips. So there's a clip here, 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 and of course I broke one. So so all you have to do is, when this is on, you just grab it here underneath on both sides with your both hands and just pull on it up, and the clips should release. When you go to put this back on, you'll have to watch these two. These go in right here. You have these pins. There's a pin right there and a pin right here. So you want to make sure that those go in right there. And also the side clips right here on both sides. Those will actually slide into the behind the carpeting. So you kind of want to finesse all that in. Make sure that those are going in before you fully clip it down. Now the next thing I want to remove is this side panel right here. You want to get to all the wiring and the modules that are behind it. This one's fairly easy. You want to start off right here in the corner. You have a clip. It's just a pull-out clip, so it's actually a 2-piece. You pull out the top head off of it, and then the bottom piece will come out. Then you have this handle right here. This is the handle to release the back seats. So right in here, you have a screw. So you'll want to take that out. It's a Torx screw. I think it's like a T25 or something like that. So unscrew that, and then this will just come out. Next, you want to remove these guys on the side. They look like this. So when you lift this up, you have 2 screws, T something, also a Torx screw, 25, 27, maybe a 30. So you want to remove both of those on each side. So that one, unscrew all the screws, and then the chrome piece just comes up. And you'll need to remove that so you can remove the carpeting. So once you do that, it's fairly easy right here behind this. Oh, and also before you actually get to this piece even, you actually want to remove this trim, the gasket. The gasket is just pushed in on there. You want to remove this before, and you want to pretty much get up to right about here. Remove all of this here all the way down to here, because you won't be able, this actually holds this carpeting and the plastic piece down, so you want to remove those. So back to this side panel. Once you get here, you have clips. There's a clip right here, there's a clip right here, and this piece is also clipped in. However, it broke off on mine, so you want to be definitely careful. I pried on it and I wasn't able to get it to come out easily. So what I did was I actually put a screwdriver or a panel popper right here under between the carpeting and the car, and I pried on the clips so that I wouldn't break these other ones. But there are 3 clips that you'll have to take out that are attached to this side panel. Once it's out, it goes around here, so you just want to pull it out, and then this whole side piece should come out. Alright, so once we're in the trunk, you'll notice on the side here you have a harness that's running above the wheel well. This harness is right here behind the seat, and this is where we left off with the wiring. Right underneath here, I talked about running it right here underneath the panel and then up here. So that's how I did it. I ran it right up here, tucked it behind that panel, and then ran it inside of this harness right here. So you can see where the wires are right here. I ran them here. So I ran them all the way back here, down this harness, and down here. Alright, so once you get to this point where you run your harness back here into the trunk, it's the time where you're going to wire up the module and the trunk itself. So, as I mentioned, this big connector, this is the biggest one you have. This is the one that connects to the module. So obviously, as I mentioned before, I already have this installed in the car, so I'm just going to show you where it goes. So in the trunk, on the right side, right here, is where the module goes. So this is your plastic bracket that I mentioned before. And then you have your cover bracket, and then the module is underneath, plugs in right here. You'll see there's a nut that goes right there, and then the other one goes right below right there. So that's what the two nuts are for, to hold this plastic piece down. There is a module that you're gonna have right here, so that just goes, the plastic bracket just goes on top of that. And then once you're ready, you can just plug this guy in into the module. Next, you'll also notice there's these two. The eyelid is a ground, and then this is your power, which is it plugs in into the 10 amp fuse that I mentioned before. Okay, and then here's the wire that goes into the central convenience module. So we'll get started here. If you look in the trunk, on the right side, right here is where the central convenience module is. You can see it's got about, what is it got? It's 6 plugs, and then one antenna or video on the left top. So what you want to do is you're gonna take this connector out right here. So it's your right side, it's the second connector from the bottom, or the middle one out of the 3. You got 1, 2, and 3. So you'll take the middle one. So to take it out, you have to press on this little tab right here, the black one. Press on the tab and then pull on the purple lever. So press the black tab and then the purple leveler will go up. Lever. Once that goes up and goes all the way to the top, you can just pull out the connector. So here's the connector. That's what it looks like. And so what we're going to want to do here is this loose wire right here will go into the connector, and then we're going to take out a wire, and the one that comes out will go into the other end. So if you look on here, I've got this piece taped because it has a connector that's on the other side. So you want to take the tape off, and then you look here, I've got a connector. So this will go into this once we place a wire inside of it. So we want to go back to this, and you want to take the black cover off of this connector. So this connector is a 2-piece. You see this white that's inside, that's 1 piece, and the black one is just the cover. So to take it off, see right here on the bottom you have a tab you have to lift up on, and then on the other side, same thing. Right here there's a black tab. You want to lift up on this and this at the same time, and then this the black piece will slide off. So okay, so I lifted both of the tabs on both sides because you need both hands for that, and then I slid it out a little bit. So once you have them both unlatched, this will just slide off like that. So you've got this black piece right here, and then the white one right there. So when you're looking at this, not all of these are populated, but the one that you want is going to be the one right here at the bottom. So this connector, when it was in the modules like this. So what you want is the wire that is all the way at the bottom left. It's labeled as number 32 on the connector, but it's very hard to see with the naked eye. Maybe I'll be able to show you, but I'm not sure. Well, either way, it's very hard to see the numbers, but it's labeled as number 32, so it's at the bottom. And for me, it's this purple wire right here. So it's at the bottom. So what we want to do is we want to remove this wire from this connector. So you have to take something thin, probably like a paper clip size, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a very small screwdriver, flat screwdriver. You press this pin right here. You can see inside. And then once you press that, you can pull the wire out. The wire will come out. Okay, so what I used is actually a pick. It's pretty small and thin, so I used it to get into this connector right here in there, and I pressed on the little tab that's on the contact, and as I was pressing on it, I was pulling on the wire, and the wire is actually, now that I look at it again, it's actually purple with a yellow stripe. But anyway, so I got it released, and once you pull this out, okay, so once I pull that out, this connector, jeez. Once you pull it out, this is what it looks like. Just a contact, and actually looking at the wire now, I can see that it's actually purple with a yellow stripe. So if you look at this, I can show you what that contact actually looks like. Looks kind of something like this. You can see on the top that it's got a little latch, and so that's what you're trying to press on. Right there is this little latch. You want to press on that and then pull on the wire. So once we have this wire removed, this wire will go into this little connector right here, and then you can see it's got a little latch on top too. So you don't want to press that in until you insert the wire. So this, you want it to stay like that. And then it goes in only one way. You can only go in one way and not any other way. So you want to make sure that when you insert the wire into this connector, that it is all the way on the right side. So this one has 3 positions. You're only going to fill 1. So you're only going to have 1 wire going into this. So you want to make sure it's on the right side, so that when you plug it in, it's connecting to this wire. So I'm going to take this. Now I'm going to insert it into, I'm going to insert it right here. Like that, all the way, and you'll hear a little click, and you'll be able to see that the tab is all the way in and it's latched. So once you have that right there, you can close this little latch on top, the white one. Press on it until it closes, just like that. All right, there. Now it's all the way in. So now it's all the way in and it's locked. So this keeps it in right there. And then you'll take this and plug it in here. Plug it into this piece. There you go, until it clicks in. And on the other side, the loose side, will now go in where you took out the purple with yellow stripe wire from the white connector. So this will go in its place. So the whole purpose of this is so that you're not cutting any wires or tapping into them. This gives you a nice secure connection, and allows you to pretty much for this to be all plug and play. So once you're done, this is what it's going to look like. I've got the wire already pushed in. Same thing, once it's all the way in, you can see that the little tab on the inside is all the way in and latched. So this is kind of what it's going to look like. You're going to have this little bypass so that you don't have to do any cutting. So now once you have it hooked up here, you're going to take your cover for the connector that you took off earlier, and you're gonna slide it on, put it back on right there, and that's what it's gonna look like. And then you'll take the connector and plug it back into your convenience module right there. So that goes back in. If it's gonna want to go back in. Okay, there we go, and that's it. So once you're done, just clean this up, tuck this away nicely somewhere, and there you go. And you're done right there. Now next, you have your ground. The ground goes right here. So you'll have to take off this, I believe that's a 10mm nut. You take that off and then just put it on top in one of these open slots, and then put the nut back on. And then again, just wire the wires in nicely with the rest of what's in there already. And then the next, you have your power. This is your power for the wing and the control module and the switch. That goes right here. So this is where you have your fuses. It goes into this second slot. This one is empty. The second one right here. And by default, the RS5 has a fuse, is the second one right there. Alright, so to get this power routed, you're going to route it right back here along this harness right here. You'll have to remove this whole fuse block in order to get to the wiring. So in order to do that, you have a nut right here, 10mm, that sits right back here. You'll have to remove that, and then once you do that, you've got a plug right here. You want to unplug that. That's going to be in your way, and then just pull this out like that, and you'll be able to flip it and you'll be able to see what you need to get to. So as I mentioned, it's this one right here. We're going to remove that whole block. You can actually remove it from the car. To do that, you have a clip right here. First of all, you can remove this pink one that holds the fuses down. You don't need that while we're going to be doing it. So this just has clips on both sides. And there's a clip right here. You press on that, and this will allow for this whole thing to go down, just like that. Alright, so I've pulled out the fuse block out of this whole block. What you have here is a bunch of fuses, and you're going to route this wire. You're going to route it all the way from over there through here, underneath here, and this right here is a terminal contact which has tabs on the side, as you should be able to see them right there, and that plugs into one of the sides. So what you do is, on the back of this you have this cover and just 2 clips on each side, and that should come off. So you'll need to remove that to get into it. We have our I had the power plugged into the second position of the terminal block. In order to be able to plug in anything into that, you'll have to push out this purple contact that you see right here. And it's actually on the other side. You do is you pull up on it, and that will allow you to put anything, your new contact, into that terminal block. Alright, so I pulled out this purple stopper. It doesn't go out very far. It moves literally just about 1/8 of an inch, maybe not even that. And that allows you to put a wire contact into there. So all you do is you take this and then just insert it into the empty slot right there, and then go all the way in until you hear it click, and that's it. So you want to put it into the second slot. That is the stock RS5 slot where the fuse goes. In all honesty, if you can really put it into any one of those, because this whole bus has 12 volts on it, so it really does not matter. As long as it's empty, you can just put it into any of those. But if you want to do it how the RS5 has it, just do it on the second one. So once you put that in, you can then put it back together. Don't forget that you have to push this back in like that, and then put your cover back on. Then you can reinsert it back into the fuse block here. Don't forget to put this back on, and then you can put it back where it was. Alright, so once you have all the wiring done here, connected to the module and your power, the only thing you'll have left is this connector right here, and this is the one that plugs in straight into the motor on the trunk lid. So this one, what you have to do is you run the cable right underneath here. So you'll run it down here, right up here, up this curve right here, and then all the way here, and then up the hinge, and that will go straight into the trunk. And so this is where this cover goes over this and covers it so you don't see it. Once you get the wiring in there, I'll show you in a moment how to actually replace the trunk and how to take it apart. But before we get to that, as I mentioned before, there are springs that hold the trunk up, and those have to be replaced because the wing adds extra weight to the trunk. So the stock A5 and S5 springs won't hold it, so you have to replace them. So here is where they are, right here. All you do is you pull on it. The spring has just a hook, so you pull it back and then pull out, and same thing on the other side. And then there's another one also right over here, so that one has to be replaced as well. And once you get the trunk mounted, and ready to go, there's 3 points of adjustment that you have to do, just because not every trunk is exactly the same, and not necessarily every one of them will sit the same. So one of them is right here, is this little knob. If you turn it, it comes out, and if you turn it the other way, it goes in. So you want to adjust this, and also this one. There's one on each side. The second point of adjustment is the actual hinge. This hinge, if you loosen both of these nuts, the hinge itself will actually go up and down, so you want to adjust that as well to make sure that the trunk sits nice and tight. And the third point of adjustment is this right here. This little knob is just a rubber stopper, but when you go to spin it, you'll notice that it actually comes out, and when you spin it the other way, it goes in. So there's one right there, and there's one right there. So you want to adjust both to make sure that when you close the trunk, it closes nice and tight, and there's no rattling or moving or anything like that. So make sure to make adjustments to all 3 of those points. Alright, now on to mounting of the actual trunk. So you'll have to remove this. I think I mentioned this before, but this is on the cover for the hinges. It sits right here over. In order to remove this, it has clips on the back, so you unclip these, and this just simply slides off. Next, you'll want to remove, there's a cover over the latch, so this just slides off. It's also on clips, however mine's broken, so it just slides off, but that has to come off. Then you remove these, those are also just on clips, so there's one here, and there's one here. You have to remove screws, 2 screws. There's one right here under the handle, and then there's another one right here. This one's hidden behind the emergency handle, and so you have to take this. The handle is just clipped in, so you just pull on it and it'll come out. And then you see there's a screw right next there, so you have to take that screw out. Okay, once you have the screws out, next thing you want to do is the emergency handle comes apart. This top piece is just on clips on it, so you have to take it apart. This comes off, and then what you notice is that there's a line inside of here that's just held by a ball. You have to release that, so that just slides out and just has a notch that just sits in there. And that's it. Now the liner is clipped in all around, so there's clips all around the perimeter of the whole liner. All you have to do is just pull on it and then it just comes off. The only thing you want to notice before pulling is this line on the back of this plastic piece is held by a clip, so you don't want to pull too hard. You'll have to reach in there and release that line once you actually have it unclipped all around. Alright, so I removed the liner, and as you can see, it's got clips right here all around, so you just have to pull on those and those will just pop out. And the other thing that I mentioned was the handle here. The line that goes into this piece goes in right here, and this is where it clips. So when you unclip all of these, there won't be really much room in there to reach in, so it's literally just going to be in just enough to get your hand in there and then unclip this. And here's what the line looks like. This is it, and this piece right here, this piece right here is what clips in right here and hooks on that. So you'll have to, once you unclip it all around, you'll have to reach in and then just push that to the side. When putting it back together, it's a real challenge to get this back in there. So if you're having trouble, well, I really don't have any words of advice there. It's last time it took me about half hour just to clip this on there, so you just have to play with it until you get it. So as you can see, this is what it looks like underneath, under the liner. So as I mentioned before, you're gonna want to run the cable right up here. I taped it all around just so that the wiring stays together. You run it up here along all the wires, right up here, and then it goes right here into this bundle and then plugs in right here. So this is the motor, and it's just that one connection right there. So that's all you really have to do. Now once you take the liner down and actually go to mounting the actual lid, you'll have this plastic piece that sits there. This sits over the screws, so this just comes off. Once you take that off, you have 3 screws here, 3 there. You remove those and the lid will just come off. I believe that's like 13mm socket, and after that, that's really it. Then you just put the trunk back together in reverse order. Alright, so once you have the wing and the trunk completely installed, wired, and it's 100% ready to go, the final step that you have to do is you have to enable it in the central convenience module. And what this does is it tells the car that the wing is actually installed. So what I'll be using here is VCDS, which is also known as VACCOM. So I have it loaded on my laptop and connected to the car. Once you have the application open, you click on select to select your module. Then you click on 46, which is the central convenience module. And then we just wait for it to load. So now we click on coding, and then click on long coding helper. So then you want to go to frame number 7, which is byte 6. And right at the bottom, bit 7 is your rear spoiler installed, so you want to check that. And then click on exit at the top. Now you click on do it. And you'll get this message, and you want to click on no because you want to use the values that are currently in the module. You'll get some beeps. So I actually got rear spoiler system fault, which is perfectly fine. So you click on OK here, and then you go back and go back. So I got the fault, and that happens every time when a module is installed for the first time and it's enabled. So you'll have to do a auto scan and then do start. So now it will search for your faults. Okay, once the auto scan is complete, you'll see a bunch of errors. Apparently mine has a lot of them, but yours shouldn't have that many. But once it's done, you click on clear all DTCs, and then you want to say yes, and you want to say yes again. And then we just wait for this to complete, and they're all good. So now we just exit this. Yes. Once we exit the application after clearing all the codes, all you want to do is you want to cycle the power on the car. So you want to turn it off and then open the door. This shuts everything off. And then you can turn it back on. And once you do that, you'll notice that the fault is gone. And you should be able to operate the wing from here. So if you press the button, the wing was actually open, so now it closed. If I press it again, you can see the light went on, indicating that the wing is open. Okay, and that's it.